Hey, my friends. Hey, how's it going? It's Thursday. I don't know, about 11:40ish. I don't know, maybe 11:50. Not quite noon, but it's pretty warm, my friends. It's like 80, you know. But here we are. Hey, thanks for liking and watching, and welcome to another installment of Real Life Ernie. Yep, my friends. So what you see behind me there is a bunch of boxes and my shed. My soon-to-be art studio, once I take care of all this junk. Oh, this plastic bundle behind me? Oh, you're wondering what that is? Oh, that, my friends, that's my spaceship. That is the Millennium Falcon, my friends. Look, so you can see the printing on it. Yeah, this was hanging up in Walmart on the ceiling, and it looked a lot smaller. My original plan was to make a table out of it, But this is it split in half. Oh my God, it's like over 8 feet long. Yeah, so I practiced this walking backwards so it'd be all dramatic. So fingers crossed I don't fall. If I fall, I'll leave it in the video. But yeah, my friends, this is stuff from my storage locker, and it's like art supplies, all kinds of boxes, various stuff I need to get rid of, my friends. But, one step at a time. It took me a lifetime to gather all this stuff up, and you can't expect to snap your fingers and get rid of it. You really could if you just threw it all away. But I'm not going to be doing that. No, because I got some goodies. So let's step inside the shed, my friends. And what we're going to be talking about is these boxes right here. Isn't this dramatic? It's like almost like a movie. Yeah. And then these boxes behind me right here, my friends. And then these two boxes right over here. Yep. Now what those boxes contain, my friends, is my videotape collection. Pardon me while I reach for my water. So I'm in the middle of restacking stuff. When I originally stacked this shed, it was 103 when I was loading the truck, and I had no time to stack stuff efficiently, and I just threw everything in, okay? So I haven't moved here yet, but I'm staying here like 1 or 2 days a week now. On my days off, I stay, and I spend the night and I come back the next day. I'm just basically unpacking. I water my roses, pretty much the house just has, I'm living in 2 houses. Long story short, I'm living in 2 houses. But soon this will be the only one. So, back to the matter on hand, stuff. So much stuff, okay? Now, I used to, hey, thanks, my friends, for coming around and hanging out. This is my 3rd year on YouTube, and I love being on YouTube, and it wouldn't happen without you, my friends. So, what we're going to be talking about, my friends, is videotapes, VHS tapes. Yeah, my friend, if you can believe it, there was a time when you couldn't watch anything when you wanted. Oh God, no. Yeah, we are so spoiled, privileged, and I don't know what you want to say. We're so lucky. Let's say we're so lucky. That's more positive. Now, when I was younger as a kid, you'd watch movies on TV. If you missed it, you missed it. Certain movies would always get shown over and over again during certain times of the year, okay? Same thing for the movie theaters, They would have what called second runs, where they would bring a movie back and show it again. Usually it was the B feature, or if it was a good enough movie, it was the A feature. You used to watch 2 movies back then. Now, that dynamic changed with the advent of home video. Talk about videotapes. Now, when videotapes first came out, my friends, they were pretty expensive. We're talking like, $200, $159, they were like in that range, they were $150 to $200, because, they were so pricey. Generally, that's why you were only able to rent movies at first, because only the rental companies, the businesses could afford that kind of investment. Now, once they started lowering down movies to the $20 range, that, now as you got to remember too, $20 was still kind of a lot of money. We're still talking like early 80s, okay? So we're still talking some cash, we're still talking a good amount of money, but a lot more affordable than $150 to $200 would be in those days, you know, which would be crazy, okay? So that's when I started getting movies. Now, I grew up in California. I've always been a fan of movies. When I was a little kid, I wanted to be a special effects artist, but I didn't follow my dream. That's my biggest regret, okay? Follow your dreams, okay? But I love movies. I've always loved movies. I used to go to movies every week as a kid in the matinees, you know? And so midnight shows in high school. So when I had the chance to start buying movies, heck yeah, I was there. Now, I have probably about 1,200 movies, give or take a little bit, okay? A lot of movies, my friends. Now, I didn't buy all of these brand new, but I did buy at least a third of them brand new for $20. Now, near the end of the life of the VHS tapes, when prices started coming down and they started introducing DVDs, which was the same cycle. DVDs were super expensive, and then the prices came down. Same thing with the transition from vinyl to CD, you know. And I remember when I first saw CDs, they were like, you know, 50, 60 bucks. They were imported from Japan. I was still buying vinyls. We're talking like in the 70s. I was still in high school. Okay, but yeah. So basically, this revolutionized, my friends, how you watch movies. I'm going to have a lot of dad movies, okay? Most of my movies are going to be stuff that your dad or grandpa would watch. I got I got all the guy movies. Westerns, Chuck Norris, you know. What I have is I have a lot of horror movies. I have a lot of Westerns, okay? I love Westerns. Oh, this was a great one. Lee Marvin, anything he's good in is good, okay? Anything he's in is good, okay? I got now you can see my movies are in nice shape. I kept everything nice, okay? So that's the big difference, is you got to keep this slipcase nice. That's what it's all about. Now, the problem with videotapes is they can get moldy, okay? Now, fortunately for me, I've always lived in the high desert. I've always lived where it's been really warm. So for me, mold is not an issue. The danger to my collection has always been excessive heat, okay? So I got some oldies, my friends, you know, but yeah, I got a lot of horror movies, you know. Now, Horror Express is a movie that is under a lot of different names, different titles. It was like a public domain film for a while. There's a lot of copies of it. This is, oh yeah, here you go. This is a preview video cassette. Now what this was basically a preview tape they would send to the video stores to, so they can sample it, see if they want to buy it. A lot of times preview tapes were used, you'll see ones that basically will say for Academy consideration only. It was sent out to Academy members. Now, I think I paid a little extra for this at the time because this was a kind of a collector thing, okay? Now, generally, I've never paid more than $20 for a videotape, okay? But yeah. Now, you've probably seen those videos about how, you know, the Black Diamond Disney tapes worth like $10,000 and stuff. That's just a clickbait. That's just a clickbait headline, my friends. You're not going to find videotapes worth that much. You know, your old Disney tapes, you know, they might be good in condition if the clamshell container is in good shape. Now, I bought this guy used, okay? So yeah, so it's all about the packaging. Like with any collectibles, my friend, it's always about the packaging. It's always about any materials that come inside, you know. Yeah. Now this is basically some kind of exploitation, black and white, you know, kind of a cheapy movie. You saw a lot of that, you know, it's always been that kind of slop. All right. And my collection varies. You know, I have some serious hardcore like literary movies, and then I have some stupid goofy comedies, you know. Now you gotta remember I was born in the 60s, so this is like my time period stuff, you know. Okay. But as you can see, you know, I basically have all the dad movies. Now, out of these about 1,200 movies, I would say maybe 200 of them are valuable and rare. Okay, so now the thing about anytime there's a change in media formats, like from DVD to CD, from VHS to to DVD, from DVD to Blu-ray, from basically movies get lost. Okay, every time there's a media transition, movies get lost because of rights. Okay, so now the movies that I have that are valuable are because they're not on DVD or Blu-ray yet. That's what makes them valuable, that the only way you can watch them is on VHS, okay? They're strictly, basically, now the funny thing about it is those rare movies are like horror movies, really low-budget action movies, or just like low-budget exploitation stuff that just either the master copies got destroyed. You'll see for movie collectors, a lot of these boutique labels, basically smaller labels that release these kind of like hard to find kind of exploitation collector cult movies. And if you look through the years, there's various great companies down the road. There's been Blue Underground. There's been Vinegar Syndrome. I'm sorry if I leave you guys out. I mean, there's a lot of great, that's just two examples, okay? Now in the UK, there's some other labels as well. Same thing in Australia. There's a couple of companies that keep re-releasing these old cult movies. It's always because those rights are still there. The people who own them still have some kind of masters, okay? Now, the movie Heavy Metal, it took a long time between the release of VHS and Blu-ray, not because the masters were lost, because that was made by a major studio. What took so long for Heavy Metal to be released was arguing over the music rights. Because a lot of the bands that were involved in the movie Heavy Metal no longer existed. A lot of them were from the UK and from other countries as well. And so that was a big old can of worms. They finally ironed it out. That was a DVD release I was super excited about. So, yeah, my friends. So, basically, now I'm not sure how I got this back in here. There it is. I had to do these ones first. But yeah, friends. Movies. Now, I don't plan on keeping all of these movies. So basically, I still have a functional VHS player. I have a pretty high-end one made by Sony. I actually paid, I paid a good amount of money for that when I bought that. I've had that for a while now, okay? And then I've gone through a bunch of VHS. And then I had a cheapy VHS player as a backup, but I gave that to my buddy who still watches tapes. Now, strictly, what I'm going to do is eventually I will weed through these. I will gather them up, and then I'll sell off what I can to collectors, and then stuff I'll keep, and then stuff I'll just probably either donate. I will not throw these guys in the trash. I will try to, I'd rather give some stuff away and throw it away. Because it's all plastic, it's bad for the environment, okay? Now, what I plan on doing right now is I just have to restack this stuff. So I'm going to basically, I have room for another row of boxes. If I scoot everything this way, I can still stack stuff taller. When I was stacking the storage, basically, it was like 103 degrees when I was emptying the truck. So, I just basically, there was just no way I could stack it efficiently. I had to throw everything in there. So basically all the stuff you see was in there. Now, I'm pretty good. If you see my storage videos, I can make it all fit and make more room. So now everything that's in the outside shed is in two categories, okay? It's my art supplies, which are going to stay out there because that's going to eventually be my art studio. That's the plan, is to make that a functional art studio. But for right now, it's just going to be my little storage until I can sort through. And then the other half of stuff is stuff I need to go through and get rid of. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some more room. And then we are going to bring some stuff out of the mobile home. that I have to do the same. I got some stuff I got to get rid of. So mostly now I got to get back into the collector circles. I got to get back and make contacts, so I can meet people who want these items. Now, it's taken me a lifetime to collect, my friends, but I'm ready to let go, okay? So what I'm hoping is I'm going to have some Holy Grail items that collectors have been looking for. And I'm going to make some people happy once I release this stuff into the wild, okay? That's why I want to go into the collector market and try to reach out to collectors. Now, for me, I'm not really out to make big bucks. I'm not out to make the top dollar. I'm out to make space and make my life better. That's what I'm trying to do, my friends, is that right there. So, but now the stuff I know that's not been the disc, I'll keep that, okay? Now that stuff I only watch every couple of years, cause if the tape is damaged and it's gone, I don't want to make duplicates of it because it's not really I don't have the right to do that. I don't want to get in trouble, But I don't know. Eventually, if you wait long enough, stuff just comes back out into the wild where you can buy it, Eventually, a master's found, somebody has the rights. Now, if it's public domain, and you can always release it as long as you process it, okay? Now, if you had a public domain movie and you went through the cost to have it digitally, say you had an actual film, an actual film, the film reel, and of a public domain movie. And it was like unaltered. It was just a movie, okay? Now you can take that and then you can pay a professional to clean it up, alter it, and then so that way it's not in its original form. It's in a form that you produced, and then you can copyright that edition. Now I learned about that when I was looking for public domain footage when I was making my little Animal Crossing movie. So I had to make sure that I found an unaltered copy of The Lost World, because if I would have got an altered copy, it would have been copyright infringement. It's neat how you learn things, okay? But yeah. So, it was nice spending time with you. It's been about 18 minutes. So this is basically my water break. I had my alarm set. So once I get done talking to you, my friends, I'm going to go back to restacking and then bringing some stuff out from outside. I got, and then we'll call it a day. I still got a bunch of errands to run. You know how it is when you're a grown up, the work never ends. But it's very satisfying work because I'm getting my home ready to be occupied, So it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. But yeah, this is my dream home, my retirement home. This is where I'm going to be until my mortal coil leaves this earth, I know it doesn't, I'm trying to make it where it doesn't sound morbid, but this is it, my friends. This is my forever home. And so I am not going to live in clutter. I'm not going to live in a mess, So I figure I've been holding on to this stuff for a reason, I've already gotten my joy out of it. I used to have a lot of this stuff in display. I watch a lot of these movies. But now my time has come to let this stuff go. And now hopefully the right person, and it will happen that way. Because that's the algorithm of life, my friends. I'm kind of talking to the 20-minute mark. So it's a nice, easy, round number. But yeah, friends. So once I get back inside there, then I'll turn this off. And then I'll go back to my YouTube music. And I'll just get stacking. And it's really easy right now. Because I'm only doing the stacking part, and then once I actually get to... now, I won't really actually go through this stuff and start getting rid of it till I live here full time, God willing, that's soon, because the house is for sale, Once I sell my house, then I'm here, But right now, I'm only here part-time. And I'm so excited about this area here, because my friends, this is going to be my art studio. It's pretty nice. What I plan on doing is I'll finish off the walls. So instead of putting drywall, I'm going to get that board with little holes like you see at the retail stores, so I can hang little racks up, okay? This is where I'm going to be painting at. So I used to paint. I used to be, it's been a long time. My vision started going bad, but I'm getting back into it. I used to be a picture framer. I'll be doing some of that. But if you look, you'll see all kinds of frames, mat boards, art supplies, You know, I used to have more, but I actually gave a lot of it away. You know, this is just the stuff I'm keeping. Now, some of the frames have artwork in them. Some of it has artwork I was working on at the time, and I stopped. When my vision started going bad, I just stopped painting. And then, you know, and I've been trying to get back into it. It's tough, my friends. It's tough. It's like working out, you know. But I'm determined to use my God-given gift of using my artwork, because it'd be a shame if I let it just wither on the vine, you know. And that's the thing, my friends. We all have a natural gift, okay? We all have a natural gift that's a benefit to the world. Nobody's useless, my friend. We all fit in. Even the flies feed the spiders. Not that I'm saying you're a fly, but what I'm trying to say, my friend, is nothing is useless in this life, and you shouldn't feel that way. Sometimes I feel that way. You know, I'm not going to lie. You know, there's times where I feel like, oh, God, woe's me, but I snap out of it. Because it's like a snowball, you know. It starts off tidy, by the time it's at the bottom of the hill, it's devastating. So you got to nip that stuff in the bud. So you got to find what you're good at. And you know what you're good at, you know what your passion is, because it makes you feel good when you do it, because you'll feel the joy, you know. So it could be anything, okay? Anything can be a gift. It doesn't have to be painting or drawing. It could be gardening. Heck, you could be good at moving things. Moving heavy things is my stuff. I can move heavy things, you know. Everybody has a gift, okay? Everybody has a gift. And once you find it and cultivate it, we make the world better, okay? The only way we can make the world better, my friends, is by making yourself better, okay? Because that's the only power we have, okay? That's it. So think of it this way. Like when you take a tiny pebble and you throw it in the pond, and you get that one little tiny ring, and then a bigger ring, and then a bigger ring, and then a bigger ring. Well, that's your positive influence in the world, my friend. We're the tiny ring, okay? We're always going to be the tiny ring. And that's okay, because you can see how that tiny ring just makes a bigger and bigger ripple in the pond. And that pond's the world, my friend. So don't try to shoot for the stars when there's so much stuff to do right around us, you know. And sometimes, you know, that's enough. If enough of us clean up what's around us, then the people who are capable of shooting for the stars have an easier job. And fate will tell you who you are. Fate will tell you if you're shooting for the stars or if you're a caretaker around us. You know, because everything's important, my friends. Everything's important. Don't let anybody ever tell you nonetheless, okay? You just got to find the seed inside you of what makes you grand. Wow, I got all grandpa and preachy on it, huh? I went from VHS tapes to I don't know, that's just how my mind works. I'm just all over the place, friends. Yeah, as you can tell, this stuff is not scripted. Not at all. Nope. You know why? Because life is not scripted, my friend. Life's not scripted. You can't control life. Basically, this is my break. I set my alarm clock for like about 45 minutes. I've been at it all day, just moving stuff around, moving furniture around, moving stuff to the other shed, like the barbecue and some outdoor stuff that I need to set up around here. You know, I set up the patio furniture. I've been busy since yesterday. You know, it's just has been a fun work trip, you know. Basically, when I come here, they're little work trips. Last night was the first time I streamed from here. It was really fun. Except I'm having trouble with my computer. I keep getting a hum with my microphone. I'll figure it out eventually, you know. Poopy has some great suggestions. You know, Poopy Crossing, please check out our channel, my friends. If you love Animal Crossing and you love other kinds of cozy games, you know, she's a wonderful lady to go watch. Yeah, she was telling me I need to go back to the Windows 10 version of OBS. I just upgraded and I've been having trouble. So, thank God I got friends who know what they're doing, because I don't sometimes. Certain things I do, some things I don't. And that's okay, because, you know, when we act as a team as a community in the world than if you don't know somebody and somebody else will know and they'll help you. And that's how it's supposed to be. You can't know everything, you know, and it's not our job to know everything, you know. It's our job to be good at something, though. Okay? Wow. All right, you know, I got to get busy. What is it? Oh, it's like 26 minutes so far, you know. It's not too bad. It's only like 80 degrees right now. So, basically, all I got to do is restack these movies and then push everything back and then bring some stuff from the inside the house. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to empty, you know, excess boxes. I just got a lot of stuff, my friends. I got a lot of junk. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff. Fortunately for me, it was all nice. It's all cool stuff, you know. Well, it used to be cool stuff. Hopefully it still is. I can get rid of it. But yeah. Learn from me, my friends. Don't gather a bunch of stuff up, you know. You know, at the moment it was all great having all this crap, but now, man, now it's a burden. As you get older, it gets harder to deal with. That's why it's so urgent for me right now at 62 to get rid of all this stuff. Because every year, I can feel my energy wane. It gets harder to do stuff. My shoulder pops like bubble wrap, you know. And so it's urgent that I get this done now for quality of life reasons. Now, I've already gotten rid of a lot of junk already. Thank God for that. Now, I'm just down to the collectibles, okay? But the good thing is I'm willing to let this stuff go, and that's the major step, okay? You can't get rid of all your clutter until you're ready to let it go, okay? Because you'll make all kinds of excuses, like I used to, like I still do. But it's okay, because I'm going to get it done. And I've already freed myself from storage lockers. Now you're going to ask, what's the difference between a shed and a storage locker? The difference is I'm not giving a corporation $263 a month. You know, no, I'm not doing that. This is where I live. And so basically it's part of my space fee, you know, and this is my home. And so, you know, and since it's going to be here where I'm nearby, I can actually go and get it. When stuff's in a storage locker, it's hard for you to go work it because you got to go drive somewhere else. I just got to walk out my door and I can tackle this. Speaking of tackling this, I think it's time to say goodbye so I can actually practice what I preach and start working on this stuff. Love you, friends. Hey, you know, I want to thank you all so much, my friends. I want to thank you for being around for my journey of the storage lockers and, you know, and those emotional videos I made about my present life situation, which you're going to be hearing less and less about, you know. And then we're just going to focus on making life better for all of us. Because when I make my life better, then everybody else's lives get better. When you don't have anger inside you and you radiate joy, people pick that up like a battery because they crave it. Their soul craves it. Okay, friends. Enough procrastinating. It's time to use these muscles and start moving this stuff around, okay? Love you, friends. Bye for now.